the sin is no longer in the driver's seat. It no longer has ownership. It no longer has lordship. It no longer has authority in my life. But yet, it's still... talked earlier about the kids. We want to raise them up in the things of the Lord. And as we get older, we want them to be merciful. How often do we have that conversation? We don't hit our siblings. We don't hit our friends. We don't bite. We don't lick. All those things we tell children not to do. Even if they may be young adults. No, I don't have to tell Zach that often. But all those things that we pour into them, there is a nature that is still found inside of them. And how we foster them to be more in the mindset of they've received in the very end of the portion of this text that we're looking at this morning is there's a merited punishment. Upon our sin nature coming into the world, an age of accountability that I believe there's a time where you come to an awareness, right from wrong, and choosing to do right, but right is ultimately only done through Jesus Christ and in Jesus Christ. All the good deeds in the world will not get you to heaven. Contradictory to whatever Steve Harvey or whoever else might be out there or Oprah wants to tell you. Jesus is the only way. Your good deeds amount to rubbish and garbage if not in Jesus Christ. And so in that choice, we choose to abandon our sin nature and then thereby, and you might think, well, how can that be? If God is righteous, if God is just. I heard this atheist argument the other day. He was talking about how if I love my wife and I tell my wife she has to love me, that if she doesn't love me, I'm going to set her on fire. This atheist application in his mindset was that is what God does. That if you don't love me, I'm going to send you to hell. And by doing so, that's how much I love you. I love you enough that I'll allow you to call. It's not the relationship that he wants with us. The punishment that we stand deserving of. The king comes forward, comes back absolutely enraged and justifiably so, comes into the picture and says, this is unthinkable. Go. And being wroth with him, as it says there in verse 34, says, and delivered him to the tormentors. He was not just going to go and sit and rot in a jail and not be able to pay off this 6,000 days worth of debt. No. He was going to be delivered to the tormentors so that in licks and lashes, it could be satisfied in some way, shape, or form, and until he should pay all that was due unto him. Of course, this man's life would be satisfied. But in his anger, he was rightly due. If I want to see my life be purpose-filled, and I want to go out and see and embrace and grasp and hold on to what I'm called to go out and do, I'm going to accept the truth of a heaven to gain, a hell to shun. And yes, hell is still a very real place, just because a lot of pulpits are afraid to talk about it, afraid to say it, and we just want to write it off. No. Rightly due to all of us if we do not accept the gift of the merciful King. We don't embrace the gift that comes through us by way of Jesus Christ. Because that merited punishment, we don't have to worry about the tormentors. We don't have to worry about the sin debt that we cannot pay. As to how we embrace and engage and look at the world, it will change our perspective drastically. Because when we realize this is where I was, this is where Satan wants me to be at, and this is what I am due. You take and you look at that bigger picture. I can live from this point, the point of my forgiveness. I can live as though I've never been forgiven. That was where the servant found himself at. or I can live solely in light of escaping the torment. Living in the mercy is where we should be. Living as ungrateful brats should not be where we should be at. And living solely out of the fact or the truth that we have escaped a devil's hell, that is by no means the rewarding life that Jesus came to die and to give to us. You see, whenever I read the good book and it talks about that I might have life, that they might have life and have it more abundantly. I heard a preacher preaching the other day. He took that text and he told me that Jesus says your bank account's supposed to be full. If you want to believe that, I hope you go find that somewhere else, and I hope that he'll write you that check that you ain't getting no time soon. But whenever he says that, he said, I've come in my mercy, in the richness of my mercy, because I want you to know it vast and overwhelming and overflowing, so that you won't find yourself back into this position lacking mercy, full of malice and anger and rage and whatever it else that sin has stirred up inside of you. That you won't just see it as a religion. You won't just see this as isolated events once a week maybe that you come to, but rather daily encounters to enhance and fulfill and find a filling relationship. And that in doing all this, of course, latter part of their verse 35 says, so likewise my heavenly Father will do unto you, if you from your hearts forgive not every one of his brother their trespasses. It is a big deal to the heart of God that we don't retain malice for one another, but equally as much that we don't maintain or retain malice for the world around us. Because you see, they don't know no better. And the fact that they don't know no better is that we must take that into consideration. Because how much it breaks the heart of our Father. It broke the heart of the king that this servant had done. Likewise, it breaks the heart of our Heavenly Father whenever we do that. But in Jesus Christ, we know that our trespasses are forgiven. In Jesus Christ, we know that as we find over in Isaiah, here in the piece of prophecy, one of the pieces of prophecy that we get from Isaiah 53:5, speaking of Jesus, him taking on our merited punishment, it says, but he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. Bless God, that's what I got to live for. That's what he chose to do for me. Now, how can I take and design my life or desire my life to live in a negative connotation when that's the amount of forgiveness that has been given to me? I don't know about y'all, it sounds like if it's washed in the blood, it's water under the bridge. And I want to bless the Lord. I want it to be known that I want his presence in my life. I want his presence in the life of my family. I want his presence in every time, everywhere, anywhere that I might go. I want him there, and I want him with me, and I want it passionately. I want there to be excitement that I get to be in his presence. In my daily reading, some of you might be doing a read through the Bible in a year program. Mine just got through dealing with David bringing the Ark of the Covenant back from the house of Obed-Edom. And as he's bringing his wife, Saul's daughter, Michal, she sees him. And what's he doing out in front of the Ark of the Covenant? Man, he's shaking a leg. He's excited because he's bringing back the presence of the Lord to Jerusalem, Bethlehem. He's bringing the presence of God back to where it and that excitement, it just comes out. You know, if we would get excited, even just in the least little bit, just a little bit excited, man. The world might think we're crazy, and guess what? That's entirely okay. Because I have been redeemed by the merciful King. I no longer have to worry about being the malicious servant that we find here in this parable. I no longer have to worry about my merited punishment, because Isaiah 53:5 makes it very, very clear. Everything for my freedom, he took it. He took it in every lash with that cat of nine tails. He took it with every moment and every ounce of pressure that was applied and that crown of thorns placed upon his head. And as they ripped him open, as they beat him and they bruised him for my iniquities and yours alike, barely to the point where he was barely even recognizable as a human being. And I thought, oh man, that's tough to see. But unfortunately, somewhere in the mix and in the gamut of it all, if you will, we've stopped realizing just how merciful the merciful King truly has been. We've stopped being blown away at the amount of debt that has been satisfied on our behalf because of the work that was done upon the cross that we could not do for ourselves. And instead, we want to harbor malice to the world. Instead, we want to harbor malice to fellow Christians. We want to harbor malice toward the pastor. We want to harbor malice wherever it is that we might be feeling it. And instead of looking, man, I've been forgiven. How much have I been forgiven? Why is it that I can't find it in me to forgive in the way that I lack forgiveness? And so as we wrestle with that, we feel welcome, they don't feel loved, they don't feel embraced. It's because we judge them and we forget that we must have mercy and that we must have grace. So with that, that's the calling, that's the challenge in our lives, is to love how Jesus loved. Here in just a few moments, we're going to sing that great hymn, Trust and Obey. In this parable, we trust that what he teaches and what he gives us is that which we stand in need of every single day. Then the cry of our hearts, God, how can I be more merciful to the world around me? People are dying and they're going to hell. God, if I don't have something done inside of me, I don't want it to be that I'm only watching a 17-minute video one day. That's all that's said of what I've done with my life. Lord, change me today that the world around me might be changed because of you. So as we prepare, let's stand together as the praise team comes to close us in a hymn of invitation. Let's stand.
Trust and obey, for there's no